Greetings, Wargamers. We're your hosts, Trevor,
Jay,
Josh, and this is Chain Attack.
Chain Attack is sponsored by Discount Games Incorporated. Discount Games Incorporated specializes in customer service, low prices, and prompt shipping. You can find our web store at www.discountgamesinc.com.
Welcome to Chain Attack. I'm your host, Trevor, and it's been a long, long day. I got nothing fancy to say.
That's your blood talking, Trevor.
It's my lack of blood. I've noticed that my blood pressure goes down every time I do one of these, and it doesn't quite recover by the next one.
Oh, interesting. Jeez.
So is it too low on the next ones, or?
No, I think we've discussed this before. The amount of caffeine that I imbibe made it so that originally when we started, so if you don't have the pre-ramble, just really quickly, I'm in a clinic for diabetes product and they take my blood 46 times each time I'm in the clinic. Very small amounts, but it ends up adding up. So when I first went in, my blood pressure I think was 128/82. So like borderline towards the top end, maybe even, they haven't prescribed me with blood pressure medication, but it was a little high.
Have they given you the talk yet?
No, I just kind of get the, like I said before, I get every once in a while the nurse will say, that's kind of high. And then every once in a while they're like, let me try it again. And I'll do the, Zen hold still. And then it'll kind of go down and then they'll just kind of let it go. So I haven't gotten the talk. But when they took my blood pressure today, after this is my third time at the clinic, so 46 times 3, these little tiny vials of blood. My blood pressure when I left today was 113/70, which is perfectly normal, or they wouldn't have let me leave.
Right. Yeah.
But the can is not as full as it once was. So.
I'm Jay, and I guess we just need to go back to like bloodlettings and leeches to.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Cure high blood pressure.
Keep drinking my caffeine. Just take some out every once in a while.
There you go. And I'm Josh, and I'm happy to report that I am the current reigning war chest champion in my house. I did manage to beat my 9-year-old, so. And I give full credit to the Royal Guard unit also.
I don't know that I've ever been that proud of beating my child in something.
Oh man, we're not behind the paywall right now either, are we? That was probably ill-timed.
I guess one news and announcement is that you have, Josh, officially announced your campaign for the Idaho State Legislature.
Oh, that's true. That's right. We weren't official last time we recorded, were we? Yes. The news is out of the bag, as they say. Is that what they say?
I mean, was it really a much of a secret, or?
I mean, it was definitely a secret, to the public. I mean, like people in the know knew, right? But I will tell you, so probably the greatest interaction that I've had since the official news release and a couple news stories that have happened, right? This lady calls me out of the blue today. I mean, so unrecognized number, right? I answer it, and she's like, I just saw your press release on Facebook, I think, and she's like, I don't even know you from Adam. I understand, you'll be running against my opponent. She's like, my husband and I will do anything in the world to help you. Like, and they live in one of the different counties, and I'm like, that is like, so I'm like, kudos to this person, honestly, for like, just like putting it all out there and
putting herself out there. Yeah.
I am willing to be involved if it means we can get rid of this other person, so that's probably been one of the funniest interactions so far.
That is pretty amazing. Well, don't really. I mean, I guess there is some. By the time this is live, there will be a bunch of Marvel Crisis Protocol items that are releasing. So be sure to get those. We have such exciting models as the Juggernaut, Gambit and Rogue, Colossus and Magic, X-23 and Honey Badger, and the Crash Sentinel Terrain Pack.
Wait, who in the world is Honey Badger?
I have no clue.
Okay, I gotta look that up. But
I'm pretty sure she is related to X-Men storylines.
Okay, I will say, in addition to what Jay has just spoken of, that the Discount Games Inc. RL location has some sweet new board games on the shelves too.
It's true.
Interesting. She's some kind of Wolverine thing.
That's X-23, I think, is like kind of it's Honey Badger as well, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Anyways, I assume you did a search for Honey Badger and it said something that she's related to Wolverine?
Yes, it appears to.
Okay.
It makes that claim, I will say.
Very well. All right. Well, so we are going to grade the two most recent books of the Dresden Files series, and I do have the bit of the sadness about me that it's been like a year at this point since I've read them, so I'll just talk in the most general terms, I guess. But I guess one thing I am curious on your guys' reaction on first off is that one of the, I don't, this is an internet rumor. I do not know if it's true, but we will go ahead and say it is. But there was a long time where Jim Butcher was pumping out books like clockwork, 1 to 2 a year, and then that stopped. And
I'm glad that you're about to address this internet rumor because, go on.
Or is that or what I've seen on the internet is that he, had a divorce and it was kind of a difficult process or
Messy.
whatever.
Sure.
Derailed things a little bit. And so my regular fix of Jim Butcher got interrupted, and we went years without a book. And so I personally had some a little bit of trepidation about these books that were coming out. And there's also a lot of hyper buildup for me too, because there had been a lot of I guess just like the title itself, Peace Talks, and then just from some of the things, the expectations that people had was that this was going to be a big deal in the series.
Right.
I mean, would you say that would you disagree with anything that I've said so far or expound on any of it, I guess?
Let me, before we continue, do you agree after having read them that it is a big part of the series or a big event? Or do you feel like that it didn't live up to that idea?
I would definitely say that it was a big event. Yes.
Okay.
I do feel I feel like I'm on the other side of a bell curve, if that makes sense.
After having read them, meaning that they were kind of a high point?
I mean,
no, I mean you're coming down off the curve by the time you read them. I liked. There are other books in the series that I enjoyed. That's what I'm really trying to say.
Interesting.
I guess I am. Let's throw out some spoiler tags here, and I mean we're going to talk about those, I assume. So if you feel like this is going to spoil things, then turn it off and come back. Yeah. So remind me again. Can you give a quick? I remember on the second book. What was the second one? Titled
Battlegrounds.
Battlegrounds. Okay. I have a much better memory of Battlegrounds about how it felt like 90% of the book was the description of a battle, and then there was a bunch of cool things kind of happened at the end. But what would you say is a summary of Peace Talks?
So summary of Peace Talks. All of the accorded nations are getting together to receive the I can't even think what they're called. the undersea race.
Unseelie. Oh yeah.
No, not the Unseelie.
No.
It's with an F. Murgle.
Yeah, the Fomor. They're going to receive the Fomor and have a discussion to declare peace in the war that has been going on for the last few years. In the introduction to that, Thomas ends up murdering one of the lead members of one of the other accorded nations, and Harry spends most of the book trying to protect or help his brother. And then the additional plot point on top of that is that the White Council is voting to kick Harry out of the council. That's a pretty forest view of that book.
Sure. Okay. And then forest view of Battlegrounds, what would you say?
At the end of peace talks, the Fomor come in and basically spit in the faces of the accorded nations and say, we'll be back. And Harry takes his brother out to the Demon Reach and protects him by imprisoning him from death. He's on his last leg. And that's where it starts. But from there, it's really all about getting ready, prepping for a big fight. And then there's a fairly big fight. So basically, most of it revolves around, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Etnu, who has the Eye of Baelor, which is a very powerful artifact, allowing her, she's a Titan, to destroy pretty much whatever the hell she wants.
At range.
Yeah, at range. Laser eyes.
For me, the high-level overview of the second book is my second favorite character suffers a fate that I am deeply troubled about. Which fate is death.
Who's your second favorite character?
Murphy.
Oh yeah. And then at the end, he basically does get kicked out of the White Council, correct?
Yes, he does.
And the gangster whose name is slipping my mind.
The Kingpin equivalent.
Yeah. What's his name? Anyways, he.
It's Marcone, Gentleman Johnny Marcone.
Yeah. He's picked up a coin at some point.
Yeah, he's had it for a while, I think.
Yeah.
That
okay.
Sneaky little gangster.
So I guess that is kind of an overview, and I guess kind of the setup of what people were.
So I want to
kind
go
of expecting
back.
or fearing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
You said you were going to say something.
I want to go back to what you mentioned before. So when was Jim Butcher's divorce? Was it around the 2015 timeframe where the previous book came out? I didn't even know that this had happened. Do we know much about that? So Skim Game came out in 2014.
2013 is what. It's kind of funny. I did a Google search of when was Jim Butcher divorced, and it does one of the Google things where it doesn't even pull up a.
It tells you.
It says 2013.
Okay. I mean, so at that point, that's when Cold Days released. Skin Game took 2 years to be released, and we were kind of all waiting for that one. That one seemed to take longer than it should, and then there was a big 5-year gap, which for the Jim Butcher fans out there was painful, much longer than we had lived through before.
Yes.
So, I mean, your premise at least seems reasonable to me. Is the second half of your premise that now that he's gotten these two out, that we might see more regular updates in the future?
I thought it was going to be that we're not going to see any more updates.
I mean, I am a fool who lives in hope, and so we'll see. I guess I don't know. I guess I am a little hopeful, although I am also kind of hopeful that we also see more of the Aeronauts Windless. So.
Well, the next book in the Aeronauts Windless series has been announced, and is the next book to be released? ?
Maybe.
Huh.
Yeah, the thing is, I would rather see the next book in that series.
Yeah.
Really, I've never read any of the books in that series, so I know.
There's only one, and I mean, honestly, I feel like it's better written than Dresden Files, but and I guess another. So I guess kind of an amalgamation of questions with it is, what were your guys' feelings heading up to it, and did the book meet your expectations, and what did you think of kind of the one book split into approach?
I feel like I had waited so long that I didn't have any expectations left.
Okay.
When I went into it, you know what I mean? Like,
and it was
the truth
so
is,
long.
I probably should have done what Trevor did and reread the whole series, but
That's
didn't
what
do that.
that's what I did as well, and I was glad that I did it because it refreshed things. And the other thing that was nice about it was that I did have, like, one of my friends, Greg. He was pretty upset over, he read the first book right when it released, and he was upset over having to wait. And he also was kind of upset that he didn't feel like the 2 books were a good value for their money when you paid for the 2 books separately.
Really? Because they're just
big,
as
yeah.
long as some of the previous books,
and
longer in some cases.
I think that books in general are a very good entertainment value. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you that had I been in his situation and had read Peace Talks when it first came out and finished it before Battlegrounds came out, I would have been pretty upset.
Yeah.
Because it really does feel like one book. It is not.
Right.
It doesn't feel like 2 books. And it
Well,
feels like the first one ends at a point where you're like, we're just getting going.
It also, I mean, it kind of feels like there's 2 authors that have cast a pall over the science fiction and fantasy community, and everyone now is terrified that their favorite author is going to follow in the footsteps of those 2 authors. And so, I think that that's one of the things that is going on with these books as well, especially, George Martin explicitly split his 1 book into 2 books, and they really didn't function well they didn't function well, period. But so when I think there is kind of some anxiety in this community when an author does that, and also they're not putting out books as quickly as they used to, et cetera. So I think that's probably a little bit of part of what's going on as well.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand from a publisher standpoint. They like a book to be, a particular size or within a particular range. So
well,
I'm sure he was under a lot of pressure to split these books.
I'm sure that they made a lot more money splitting the books.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So I guess overall, what's your reactions to the 2 books? Were you satisfied? Were you disappointed?
I was satisfied. I do feel like this was I feel like the previous top of the curve moment was Changes for me.
Yeah.
And Changes still remains my favorite book. I do feel like this became another peak moment in the series, and I don't think it holds up as well as Changes does. But I did enjoy it, and it felt on par with many of the other books in the series. I didn't feel like I was disappointed in any way, but I did feel like Peace Talks moved at a better pace than Battleground did.
And it did. I mean, Battleground, in my opinion, kind of had some pacing issues, and it was kind of probably somewhat an expectation issue as well, because you have an expectation when you read a Dresden Files book that it didn't follow the normal Dresden Files formula.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, Peace Talks clearly had a mystery to be solved, which is, the formula. Battleground did not. It had more of a problem to solve, which felt insurmountable. So but in hindsight, Battleground feels more like a setup for something greater. I think that maybe I thought there's going to be this peak, when in reality maybe it's just all set up for.
I felt like the majority of the book, it kind of felt like a little bit. It reminded me of Dragonlance, of where they translated their D&D campaign into.
I don't think it came across.
Book.
It did not come across.
No, I'm saying it came across to me as like the final climactic battle of someone's role-playing campaign.
Right. Well, that's the feeling I came away from it with, is like, yes, there are some things that you could follow up and start new threads or whatever, but it felt it felt more like a farewell to me.
Well, the part of the book that I enjoyed the most was the end parts that felt like the seeds were planted. That okay, we've had this act of the story is finished, and now here are the seeds for how the campaign is going to continue.
But yeah, I mean that's the thing is I just feel like it would really be going back to the well.
Oh, I mean, I think there's a lot of dips in the well that he's planning on doing still.
Do you think so? Still?
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Well,
I thought I had read something.
There's so much that is there that.
I mean, I need the equivalent of some Disney Plus series to get me set up for the next, phase 4 or whatever of the Dresden cinematic universe.
There is so many unresolved plots right now in Battleground. There's just tons of things going on that just, I mean, his brother, for example, which I thought was going to be resolved in Battleground, he didn't even address it at all.
So, according to my internet research, which is
your hair, that's my new favorite acronym.
Yes, half-ass internet research.
Yes, so good.
It says that the Dresden Files will continue an estimated 25 books, including a big apocalyptic capstone trilogy.
25 total.
25 total, yeah.
Yeah, I knew he had planned at least a 21, but I didn't.
And I mean, this is going to go beyond half-assed internet research because this is on the Jim Butcher official website on his FAQ. It says, how many books is Jim writing for the Dresden Files? Answer,
so many.
Well, we have the names for the next 2 novels.
Yeah,
12,
he says
12 months and Mirror Mirror are the next 2 novels.
Yeah, he says 22 case books, like those we've seen so far, capped with a double-length apocalyptic trilogy. So 22 of his cases, and then wrap it up with the apocalypse.
Interesting.
What number is Battlefields?
Battleground is 17.
Battlegrounds 17. So 8 more.
Just a small amount.
Yeah. 25.
I will also say
I'm not sure I've read a series with that many books in it.
I definitely haven't. I've read a series with that many books, but I did not read all the books in the series because they just completely lost their way.
I'm trying to think of what ones could be even contenders, and obviously if someone's a Discworld fan, that can surpass it, but that's one of the only things that's popping to my mind, right?
Maybe some of there might be a Piers Anthony series. That guy was pretty freaking prolific.
Myth from Robert Asprin I read. I'm trying to think how many books were in it. It was quite a few.
So the series that I read that had 21 books in it was the Robotech book series, which were loosely based on
yes,
the TV
tell
series.
me more.
They're way better than the TV series, but it doesn't matter because the TV series completely lost its way, and they had to write to match the story that was going on in the TV series, and so they were a complete disaster. So I only read, I want to say 16 or 17 in that series.
Do you know one of the things that's still like I'm just gonna say near and dear to my heart about the Dresden Files, right? Is I just love. And I think I got this more from the brief foray we had into the
role playing game.
Yeah, the role playing game. I just love the way that they sort of like justify humans not being, just insta kill in these, crazy fantastical fairy land battles and stuff. I just thought that was really interesting, and he does a good job of that, I think that's always been, I guess, maybe you'd call it one of his strengths.
I guess what would you say were your favorite and least favorite parts of the 2 books?
I mean, my answer's the same. The death and the death.
Okay.
Because he did send her out with like a glorious heroes.
Right, yeah.
Like the Ride of the Valkyries style send off, but then I was just like, what a bunch of bull crap. And there was some throwing of my Kindle device at that time, and
I was a little shocked. That was not a character I thought he would kill off.
Yeah, like I think I'm with you. I thought the plot armor was thick enough on that character that
I really do kind of think that about the only character with plot armor is Mouse at this point.
Really? You think even Dresden himself doesn't have it?
Yeah, I mean, sure, I could totally. I don't think that he'll die before the end of
The
the series,
apocalypse.
but
He won't die before he actually causes the apocalypse.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Jay. I would not be shocked by the death of Dresden at the end of book 25.
Yeah, I mean that almost feels appropriate, right?
The ultimate kill your darlings.
I mean, I can see how he would potentially not, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised by it.
One of my other favorite parts in the book is where I actually thought Butcher was killing my literal favorite character, and it ended up being, gosh, I think Molly had set him up as like, it was it was a fake out or whatever. That scene got me. I was like, you dirty son of a whore. I was about to get, and then I was like, oh, that was amazing. That was the best. So that emotional ride was actually pretty well done. I thought that was pretty awesome.
I think the other one that probably has plot armor is Maggie. But Mouse and Maggie, I don't think they're ever going to die. I think if he leaves anything to be continued, it will be
the Molly Files at some point.
No, it'd be the Maggie Files.
I mean the Maggie Files. Sorry. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
It would take another 25 books before he's willing to kill her.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. It's hard for me to pin down a favorite point. I guess probably the fake duel, the illusionary duel between Ebenezer and Harry is probably, which was in Peace Talks right at the end. That was probably my favorite point. So I sort of dislike the reactions and the actions of the characters related to that whole plot. Like it seems maybe a bit of a stretch for me. And I guess maybe there's more to be revealed that will tell me more. But I like the way that the White Council treats Harry just doesn't compute to me sometimes.
Boy, am I excited!
Deep double fake.
Am I excited to have some discussions with you about the Book of Boba Fett?
I love what brings Jay joy still.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. We'll get to that when we get to that. So
yeah. What did I think that it's probably safe to say that of the three of us, I probably like Thomas's character more than the.
Oh yeah, you're definitely the ultimate Thomas fanboy. Yeah, I'm not saying I don't dislike him, but like
sure. Did you guys like or dislike his storyline in Peace Talks?
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that plot line. Again, the reveal that he was manipulated into it. It just I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that whole storyline.
I don't know how much of this is in the main books versus the short story that he was in, but do you guys like it? And in one way, it seems kind of weird to me that like Thomas is in this secret society of do-gooders and he can't say that he is. But is that? Have you guys read that short story? / is it in the other parts of the series?
Man, I'm not sure that I have. I don't feel like I don't remember reading it.
That's got to be in one of the short stories. I've never read any of the short stories, so it's something that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I've never picked up those, like one of them, Side Jobs. I've never read that book.
I think it might be Side Jobs, yeah.
And then there's Briefcases and Working.
Is Side Jobs the one where he does something with Santa Claus? No, that's one of the main books, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a callback, I think, to the Santa Claus from, I think, maybe some other stuff as well. But
okay.
Let me see if I can find. Anyways, I was curious what you guys thought of.
Yeah, I didn't.
Of that, basically,
it felt sort of unexpected to me, honestly. And so, but yeah, tell us, oh greatest of the Thomas Wraith fanboys, what? I
mean, I'm trying to find that.
The short story part.
Yeah, there is in one of the short stories. Basically, it's a short story about him being in this secret society where he's a do-gooder and he can't talk about it, because that's one of like the parts of being a secret society do-gooder.
Is not being able to talk about it.
Yeah. Anyways, continue on, and if I find something, I'll say it. But I guess any other thoughts on the series before we start going into grading?
No, I guess I just want to kind of follow up with what Jay already said as far as reading the other things. I had forgotten a ton of little tiny plot points, and a lot of those came up during peace talks and Battleground, and I'm pretty glad that I went back and reread them.
Yeah.
There was a lot that I just had completely forgot about, and immediately came up in the new book. So it was, I realized that we're talking about these books, 18 to 24 months after they released, all because of me taking a long time to get caught back up. But I'm glad I did it. So
I'm curious what you guys thought of. We didn't talk about this one character. I just am curious what everybody thought about Molly's plot development.
Don't get me started.
Really?
I told you that when I finished Cold Days, I was pissed. I had the moment where throw your Kindle across the room sort of thing. I was mad, and I've been mad at Butcher ever since. Like,
yeah, I thought I remembered you saying that. So okay, good.
Yeah, and I just like, I don't know where he's going with this, where he's going with Mab and Molly, and it feels like I'm gonna be throwing another an iPad or Kindle or whatever I'm reading it on, because I mean, it feels like a freight train coming, and I just can't stop it. No control. It's not an RPG, although I want it to be.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite characters of the entire series, he's just gonna just smash her into the wall. In fact, there was multiple points during Battleground where I thought that's what he was going to do.
Yeah. Well, it felt sort of like head fakes, right? And then instead you do it to Murphy.
There were some head fakes. Yeah.
I sort of liked how, I don't know if this is kind of how it ends, but I just loved the sort of call out to her family, right? Like, that's kind of what I took away from the part where it was like, she's always welcome. Like, her family will always be her family. That's like catnip for Josh 101, basically, right? Like, warm the cockles of my cold, dark heart with that kind of BS.
Yeah. I definitely had a similar moment that you did, although I think he maybe strung me along maybe longer than you did. I actually thought he was going to kill the Carpenters.
Yeah, right. Like, for real you did, right?
Yeah, I believed it wholeheartedly. And I normally, those types of things I'm skeptical of, but that one, I don't know, maybe he timed it well or whatever, but I just I was stunned.
Hook, line, and sinker, baby.
Yeah, I bought the whole thing, and I was stunned.
All right. Well, are we ready to?
Oh yeah, I guess we're grading.
Move on to grading.
Sure, let's go.
Right,
Design.
Are we doing them one at a time, or are we doing them as a whole? Because I have wildly different grades for them.
It's as a whole.
My vote's a whole too. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll give you special dispensation, Trevor. You can do both.
Okay. Well, Peace Talks I think is better. The whole the design of Peace Talks is better.
Okay.
I felt like, I mean, clearly Jay already said it, but there's pacing problems, and I feel like it's just, he wanted the whole book to be such a grandiose battle, and it just felt like it was so drawn out. Battles like that in real war don't normally happen at that intensity for that long. It's just too much. People fall back. They do other things. There's breaks in the fire. It's not often that things happen like that for that intense for that long. People just can't keep it up. So anyway, it felt a little forced, I have to admit.
Okay.
So anyway, I would probably give the design of Peace Talks. Actually, I'm going to grade that one a little low too, because it just feels like it spent a whole lot of time spinning its wheels on a plot point that was never resolved within the two
both
books.
Right?
Yeah, that sort of bugs me too. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a Dresden Files book though. So 7.
Okay. 7 for which one?
Well, you guys are. I'm saying that I'm putting them together.
Okay.
Here. I explain both sides of why I'm putting it there. I do feel like Peace Talks has some high points and some low points. Battlegrounds has some low points. There's some really cool stuff that's going on in Battlegrounds. I feel like it's setting up something more that I also enjoyed, and I'm waiting for the payoff. So it's hard for me to grade those things.
Okay.
Because if they pay off big, I will enjoy this book a lot more.
I could see that. Okay. So I cheated a little because I was really curious, and I went and looked at grades that we gave to Skin Games, which is the last Dresden Files book I think that we rated.
Mm-hmm.
And I did enjoy, like, I enjoyed Battlegrounds more because I'm basically an 8-year-old child, middle-aged man's body, right? Like, and Battlegrounds to me felt much more like you had your action figures, pew pew, and you were smashing everything together. So I'm gonna give Battlegrounds the same design grade that I gave Skin Games, which was 7.
Oh, interesting. Did I give Skin Game? Because Skin Game is one of my more favorite books in the series.
You gave Skin Games a 6.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I wonder if we were a little more disciplined back in those days.
I wonder if part of the changes that I'm certain that at the time I was still fuming over Molly. And having reread Skin Game, I enjoyed it much more the second read.
Yeah.
So
could be. Jay?
I'll probably go with a 6.
Which is the score you gave Skin Game.
Okay.
Time management.
So again, I feel like one is better than the other. I enjoyed Peace Talk's pace better, and I actually read it fairly quickly. My pace slowed down considerably when I got to Battleground.
Yeah.
Whereas Peace Talks took me, I can't remember, 2 weeks maybe, week and a half. Battlegrounds took me like 6 weeks. No, okay. It was more like 6 weeks. I read them both pretty quickly for me. Not the type that, there are certain books where I'll pick them up and then I just can't put them down. The first time I ever read Ender's Game is a good example. Hunger Games, I read them in 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
Just couldn't put them down. And I've done that in the past with some of the Dresden Files, but that wasn't the case here on either book. Although Peace Talks was kind of close. So I'd probably give Peace Talks an 8. I really feel like it's paced really well. It was frustrating that it didn't resolve anything that I felt like. And then having the next book, which I thought was going to resolve those things and didn't necessarily do so, was so much slower, was frustrating. So, 6 and 8, and I'll cop out and give it a 7 overall.
Yeah, so maybe it's been because I read Peace Talks long enough ago. I just feel like I enjoyed the pacing of Battlegrounds more, and maybe it was just because that's what I was in the mood for when I read it, right? But so I'm actually going to agree with Trevor. I was maybe going to let the Spirit of Jay bump me up higher than that, but I think I'll stick with the 7.
Sorry, what's the category again?
Time management.
Oh,
and it's okay if you ding it for spacing the books out and making us wait. I'm kidding.
I would have been mad if I had to wait for the second book.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go with a 6, mainly because Battlegrounds was one of the first times where it kind of felt like the pages didn't fly by for me. So, next category.
Repeatability. I think this one's going to be tough for me. Let's hear what you got for us, Trevor.
I'm pretty sure that it's going to depend a little bit on how far out we are. But
how quickly is he going to write these books?
Yeah. I'll read these books again. I think there's a good chance that depending on how far out the next book is, I might reread. I kind of feel like Cold Days is another place where you could just pick up and start there. But I might, read Cold Days forward again at some point. I'll definitely reread these books at some point in the future, which for me is
depending on how quickly he is on getting out the additional books, there's a very high likelihood that I will, every time a new book comes out, I'll start at Peace Talks and read forward to whatever the current book is.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like there's some setup in the books right before peace talks, but I think that's a good place to pick up too.
Yeah.
I am not sure that my heart could take another read of the books.
Can't read
of Battlegrounds, essentially.
Yeah, you can't reread what happens with Karen.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I just debate.
I full disclosure, I was never a fan of the relationship between Harry and Murphy. I always, when they were more professional, I liked her more. When it became romantic, she does not seem like the type that would like a Harry. Flat out. I love Karen Murphy. I think she's a great character. But her interest in Harry made no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't really have a comment on that, I guess. I don't know.
I'm trying to think who I'm the most like in the series, and yeah, I don't know. Never mind. I was gonna say maybe I'm more like Harry than any of the other characters, and I can't see any way that Karen would like me even a little bit. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. So
that's funny. As far as repeatability, yeah. So I'm gonna give it a 7 too. I might be a set of 7s at the rate we're going. Sorry, what was your repeatability number, Jay?
I mean, the crazy thing is that I was thinking like a 6, but the reality is that the number of times I actually am going to read it is going to be more like an 8.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. If these were not part of the Dresden Files series, I would probably never go back and read them again. But I am going to read them again, which for me, I'm like Josh when it comes to books. I don't reread books very often. There's only a handful of books I've reread in my life. So,
well, there you have it. Okay, next category is fun.
I'm not sure on many of these books that fun is an adjective that I would use on them.
I mean, should we call it like, are you glad you read them?
Or entertained, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. A la Gladiator, right? Are you not entertained?
Like I said before, I really did enjoy Peace Talks. It was fun. I had fun. Biggest disappointment was it didn't resolve anything at the end.
Yeah.
So, I feel like Jim Butcher's books, at least the ones I've read, end up being higher than average. So even though maybe these aren't some of the better ones in the grandiose series or his overall plan, I really did enjoy reading them.
Well, I think I stick with my Skin Game score, which is a 9.
I think I'm probably gonna go with a 7.
Okay. Yeah, if I had to actually put a number down, I would probably put an 8.
Nice variety, team. Okay, and overall, gosh, I ruined my own streak of 7.
And Josh,
I'm torn because I have full faith that the plot points that are bugging me that are not resolved at this point will be resolved, and if they're resolved in a way that I enjoy, these books will become much more enjoyable to me.
So it's possible that we could have a Spider-Man No Way Home situation here.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's set a ton of stuff up, and he has left us. There's a bunch of things where he's just not explained. There was so many things that were described or alluded to, and Harry's just as much in the dark as we are, which is fine. But it's like, if those things are resolved in a really cool way, I'm going to look back on these books way more fondly than I am if they're resolved poorly. So it makes it hard for me to judge. Right out of the box,
all right, so
I'm going to give him
your current overall. Go ahead.
Well, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I have faith in Jim Butcher. If this were J.R.R. Martin, I'd be like, there's no way this is going to resolve in a way that I enjoy. But he's not. He's Jim Butcher. And for the most part, he resolves things in a way that I enjoy. Sans Molly.
Good save. Yeah.
And maybe he'll resolve that one in a way I enjoy. But right now, that's the one I just have no faith. But anyway, we'll see. I think that these could be the groundwork for something really great, and so I'm excited. I think overall these are like an
8. Well, back to my bell curve comment, I'm not going to give quite as much benefit of the doubt, so I'm saying a 7 overall because I just feel like I'm trending down
as well. And it's partially maybe because it's probably the curse of expectations. I think that I maybe had a little bit higher expectations or hopes for things than where things ended out.
Yeah, that could be tough.
I mean, we waited so long for them. That was part of the problem.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if they had been on a regular pace where we got those,
Yes.
year after Skin Game, and we got another one a year later, and let's say we were 2 or 3 books beyond them at this point, we would probably be a lot more happy about it.
That's likely correct. Yes. All right. What is the next one?
Go no go. That's definitely still a go for me, even with my mildly cranky 7s.
This is the first book series I recommend to anybody. Like, as soon as I get to know somebody, and if they have any sort of geeky
Good
tendencies,
taste.
yeah, I'll bring it up, ask if they've read them. If they haven't, I will immediately steer them here. So I've steered multiple coworkers towards these books with moderate success. Some have not enjoyed them, some did.
I feel like I should disown my children because I have recommended it to all of them, and I don't think any of them have actually picked them up.
Really?
Yeah.
What? So we've had this topic before, but I'm going to bring it back because you're telling me that you've recommended it to your children. At what age?
Well, no, yeah. I mean, I recommend it to them when they're basically probably 18. Honestly, I'm trying to
18.
think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think my wife is going to wait that long before my daughter picks these up. But
right.
maybe.
Yeah.
I would be mostly comfortable with 16-ish too. Like I just don't think I did it until most of my older girls were that age.
So this might blow you away, but we're old, Josh. And my daughter turns 16 in 2 months.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, so if your wife doesn't want to wait, I'm okay with that, is what I'm saying.
I think she wants to wait longer than that. I don't think she'll recommend them at 16, but I think
I think you got to be careful because see, like what happened with me is like by the time I recommend it with my oldest daughter, all she reads is like, music history books and that kind of stuff. I don't know on my second daughter's sort of the least geekiest, and so I understand if she hasn't taken up the recommend yet, but I don't know what's going on with the third daughter. I mean, that's the child that literally runs her own
should
D&D
be reading
campaigns.
it.
Yeah, I'm like, how are you not reading this yet?
What? Is she the one who's also watching Squid Game and?
No, that's
the 14-year-old. Yeah, she'll probably be the first one to actually read Dresden Files without it being recommended and being like, "Hey, Dad, let's talk about Harry's relationship with the werewolf."
Yeah, Josh, she's already probably read 1 or 2 of them. No, my daughter's, this is right up her alley, and my wife and I talk about Harry things from time to time, and my daughter just kind of like, she just gives you that look like, please, she desperately wants to read them. I'm pretty sure.
That's cool.
Funny. All right. Well, I guess let us know what you guys think of the Dresden Files, of these 2 books, et cetera, et cetera.